We now welcome in Julien Lewis to the show. I just love to scream Juice every time you do something great on the basketball court. But first off, where do you get the nickname Juice? Where does that come from?
I got it from a longtime friend back home. We was on the basketball court, I was playing against some older guys, grown men, and I was a little younger, going out there fighting, playing hard, and he gave me the nickname Juice because I was doing a lot of things out there.
Man, it just rolls off the tongue. You get to scream it, you get to shout it, you make those great plays. Now, we've talked a lot about toughness. People have different definitions of toughness. We'll get that from Coach Barnes coming up. But first off, we saw a little toughness from you, playing on that bum ankle against Baylor, going up defensively against one of the top players in the Big 12, and Pierre Jackson. When you define toughness, how do you do that in your own words?
Like hard work, you know, going out there with determination that you're going to play without injuries and through it with all. But mostly, I say is just toughness, like you said.
Yeah, going out, grinding, getting the work done. But I know, Coach, when you talk about toughness, sometimes it's not just having the ability to come back from an injury, to get bloodied and still play the game. You talk about execution and the finer details as well.
Well, I do think that defines toughness. It's doing your job the right way every single time. And it's a very hard thing to do, but it's something as a team that we're still trying to get to. And it's going to take 5 guys on the floor working together and everyone understanding that finishing possessions, whether it's offense, defense, and we're not to that point yet where defensively, we mentioned on the tape where our guards aren't coming down and getting in part of the mix there, whether it's moving without the ball, those type things at the end of the game. And we've talked about it when you have a lead like we did last night, our guards have to control that game from that point on. And we had some, I thought Juice worked hard and got some shots that he normally makes, shots that we would take at any point in time. But we can't get to where we're just relying on one guy. And that seems like that's where we are too many times, where 2 guys aren't getting done what we need to get done. One guy thinks he's got to go do it by himself. And I think, Juice, you can tell us, I mean, don't you think that sometimes we have guys standing around waiting for somebody to do it as opposed to being tough enough to stay together in what we're trying to get done?
Yeah. Such as, you know, I don't want to call him out on camera, but, you know, Sheldon does that a lot of times when we need him to come out and score. He probably don't be ready like a Dazel, me too, also. A lot of like Cam sometimes, but we all got to keep working hard and keep playing.
What, again, we talk a lot about practice. Don't you think it goes back to practice habits, and you think about the guys that consistently have played well this year, it's the guys that consistently have worked hard every day in practice? You know, why do you think some guys get that? You know, why they understand what it means to be everyday guys and other guys just don't quite understand it?
I think when you, like in practice, you got to go out there and work hard, listen to the coaching staff mostly though, and get to understand and want to learn the game like you also tell us all the time. You know, once you learn the game, you can be more efficient at it and get better and better each and every day and going in practice. Like such as DeMarcus, he goes in practice hard every day. He does his job. He listens to you. As mostly one of the guys I believe in that can help us out on this team too. Also.
You asked me about my thoughts earlier, and that's a thought, that because what Juice just said, DeMarcus is a guy that's had to learn to try to play the point because of Mike's situation, but we all know that he needs to be on the floor more. And Juice saying that knows that he's talking about his position, and that's where I think that a guy like DeMarcus has earned that respect. And but why do you think, Juice, that some guys just don't get it quick enough? I mean, what do you think it is? Do you think it's their preparation coming into practice, or what do you think?
Sometimes I think it's their habits, you know, like you say, preparation though too, but some guys just don't have it mentally. Sometimes it goes on me too. Like I don't come in focused sometimes and be ready to practice, but I have to also be a leader out there because I'm an older guy and show them the ropes I went through last year.
Very honest look. Very honest.
I was going to ask you this too. You know, I use a term that I don't want us to ever have a sense of entitlement. Do you think that players coming in, whether they're high school or guys coming back, they sometimes get that, they think regardless that they should be playing regardless of whether they put the time in or not?
Yeah, you know, like players that came from a good school, they thought they did a whole good job, but that was on a high school level. You know, at college level, it's a bigger and better thing to going out there playing. It's like aggressive, basically. Like you told yesterday, it's a man's game. You're right, it is a man's game. You got to go out there and fight for every position, every game. You know, every game is not guaranteed for us to win.
Well, Julien, we appreciate the time you coming on. Very very honest approach to the state of Texas basketball at this time. Were you taking notes, Coach? Do you have some new material to work with going into practice?
Well, the one thing about Juice, I mean, he's always going to be honest, and he's one guy that if he doesn't do it, he'll be the one to own up to it. I actually had him put together a list today of the phony guys on the team, the phony toughness, and his name was on the list. And believe me, it's on there one time, and he put it on himself. So that tells you that, I mean, a person that can really self-evaluate themselves speaks volumes of someone.